Yeah, I guess that's it. You're listening to WCSS 1490 in Amsterdam, New York. And this is the show with no name. I couldn't get it up fast enough. Sorry, guys. Slow internet today. Okay. So, welcome to the show with no name. I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha and Gavin Murdoch. Hi, guys.
Morning, sir.
What's up? Jim, you missed the podcast on Friday.
I know. I got busy and forgot all about it until lunchtime, and then I was told.
You were told.
I was told.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting too many things.
We had a spot for you. A number of times we looked over for a response, and we just never got one.
Well,
Wow.
wait till today. I might be able to respond.
I see what well, you know, among other things, we kind of went over some of the material about the lawsuit that's going on, Amsterdam versus Amsterdam. Of course, we did that
But
last.
will the winner really be Amsterdam?
I doubt it. I don't see how. But anyway, apparently it's coming to a head. They're going to submit additional law and affidavits, if necessary, to the court later this week. And I guess the judge has indicated he will render a decision by Tuesday, April 1st. So,
April Fool's Day, isn't that kind of ironic?
well, it is ironic in a way.
He's going to issue it to the fools or on Fool's Day. What'd you say?
It could be both.
It could be both.
Could be to the
Okay.
fools on April Fool's Day.
By the way, we are videoing this show, unlike last week when I forgot to bring the memory stick.
I'm not the only one that forgets things.
Oh, no,
I remember that,
no.
though.
Believe me, you're not. You're not. You know, sometimes, you know why the podcast is at my house? Because when you guys show up, I remember I got a show to do.
I noticed that there's some days when we come in, you start
You have that
running
look.
around. I have that look. I'm running around. No, it's usually, actually I've never forgotten it, but I've cut it awful close on more than one occasion. But that's a good thing about having a 2-hour podcast. If you cut 45 minutes out of it, what the heck? Nobody cares.
Nobody knows.
I don't know. A lot of our listeners in the former Soviet Union really notice when that show is short.
By the way, have we been? Have the Russians cut us out? Because we have, we were talking about Crimea and all that.
Yeah. I think the jamming equipment they have is not up to par with what we're sending out, so I think we're getting through.
Phew, thank God. Thank God.
I think we're all right there.
Well, I'm sure the people in the Crimea, they just can't wait for our show, so they know what's going on in Amsterdam.
Can get the real story what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, things aren't getting any better there.
In the olden days when Mike Chiara was operating this little 15-minute radio show we did every week, what was it called? National Perspectives. We were on, I don't know, something like 52 radio stations around the country, and in those days you had to send it out by tape, so we would send the audio tape to all these different places every week, and
wow.
Hope they'd send it back, and so we could reuse it. And but we actually beamed into the old Soviet Union. We had a radio station on one of the far islands of Alaska. It's probably 1,000-watt station, but it was beaming. You could see Russia from there.
That's right.
See Russia.
So we beamed in. We beamed all our anti-communist propaganda into
That must be the same place that Sarah Palin was.
It was
looking from.
That's right. That's right. Anyway, among the other things we talked about on the podcast Friday was the loss of Whitey Murray to the community. Whitey passed away, I think, Thursday. I'm losing track of time, but it was after our last show here. And so we talked about Whitey for a bit, and thought we'd save the rest for today because, this does have somewhat larger audience than the podcast, although it's not as permanent. Just a terrific guy, perfect citizen. You founder of the Little Giants and all that stuff.
Yeah. He worked with lots of the sport leagues and community besides football. He was involved in all the civic organizations. He's the kind of guy you want living in your community. He put his time in and expected nothing other than the satisfaction that he got from helping people.
I got to tell you, one of the most beautiful things I've seen maybe ever was a tribute written by his granddaughter that was on Facebook the other day. And
I saw that.
If you guys don't mind, I want to read this. And bear in mind, this is not my words. These are the words of Jessica Murray, who is the granddaughter of Whitey Murray. Here's what Jessica had to say. He worked hard with his hands and did what he thought was right for his family. He didn't set out to change a town, but he did. And I am proud to be able to call him Grandpa. And he used to call me a princess. Sarcastically, of course. He started a couple of children's football teams, he said, just so his boys had something to do. Then the girls needed majorettes to do something too. Later in life, he told me it kept him away from the family too much. He was never sure that it should have turned into something as big as it did. He just wanted the boys to have something to do. But he loved the game, loved coaching, loved watching it, and loved handing us grandchildren the old pigskin. I moved back to Amsterdam as an adult. I go to dinner parties, and as soon as I say my last name, someone always asks, as in Whitey Murray? Then I listen to grown men talk about football and tackles and how Whitey did this and Whitey did that. Once a man just tackled another man. The conversation brought them all to their youth, invigorating them and filling them with joy. Yep, that is my grandpa. Everyone smiles so warmly just by bringing up his name. I think she wrote this the day he died, which is quite amazing. But he just wanted to start something to keep his sons busy. Then someone would mention his gas station, and the stories would start again. Everything from needing gas on a Christmas Eve and Whitey saving the day, to memories of picking up their new football jerseys for the new Little Giants season. It's not just dinner parties, though. I say my last name anywhere and then hear the Whitey stories. I often hear about him being a Santa every year for St. Mary's Hospital. He was even Santa one year for my daycare when my son was small. And I hear about him being the cable guy, and a cool one at that. My grandparents had MTV playing the day it first aired. Whitey, you mean the guy with the garden? Yes, I hear that often, too. He grew a garden that was so newsworthy it was in the local paper more times than any other garden in Amsterdam. I believe that is true. And I hear all about his sunflowers as if I hadn't lived it, played in it, with permission of course, and helped plant it on occasion. And play hide and seek in the gardens on the back hill with the cousins and the greenhouses and the chestnut tree, just to find my favorite hiding spot in the garage next to him, watching the game, sitting on a lawn chair, while my uncle and his friends played basketball in the driveway. Well, I might have blurred together a bunch of memories in that one. One day, walking into work, someone stopped me and asked if I was one of his children. No, I'm one of his grandchildren. Then I was told how much I looked like a Murray. He could just tell. And my Whitey story. He'd sit in the den for hours with postage stamps all over his desk and volumes of books about them, and the football game was always on. He'd explain it to me. But I never listened. I still don't understand the sport. But I did like to listen to him explain it over and over. While eating cookies I stole from the kitchen, he'd tell me I'd spoil my dinner. And he was right. But my favorite Whitey story isn't a story at all, yet it always told such a wonderful story, and it is the thing that I will miss most, his eyes. Once you stopped looking at the eyebrows that were longer than the hair on his head, his eyes. They would sparkle in such indescribably loving ways when he played with us grandchildren. When he first met my son, his first great-grandchild, who shared his name, Robert Murray, was the first time I saw that sparkle from an adult perspective and recognized it was love and family pride that was overwhelming in his eyes. And I saw that same sparkle in his eyes, full of just as much love and pride, if not more, each time he had another great-grandchild. Yes, I will miss his eyes. I love you, Grandpa. Isn't that beautiful?
Great.
And perfect, you know. You don't have to know Whitey Murray to realize that's him. That's him. And I wouldn't want to add to that, but I did want to share it because... By the way, anybody wants to call in and talk about Whitey, feel free. 843-2500 is the number. I guess our equipment works. I don't know. Is it on? It's hard to tell. Hard to tell sometimes.
He was the sponsor for my first prep league team. It was Murray and Bettines was our sponsor.
Who was it?
Murray and Bettine.
I
don't know who
you don't know who
Bettine
Bettine was.
No, but that was the name of our team.
Huh.
But I can remember going down there. There's a little gas station down there by Wall Street, and go in there and pick up our shirts for our game at the beginning of the season.
Wow. So, you played Little Giants, did you?
No, little baseball.
Baseball.
Baseball, yeah. No, I didn't play.
You never played Little Giants?
No.
No?
No.
How's that? No, I didn't either. No. Actually, no one
I think
ever
I was
invited
busy.
me.
I was probably busy that weekend with the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. But I remember going up and watching the games up there in Veterans Field.
Yeah. Jim, you didn't play, did you?
There was no such thing as Little League and organized anything.
Well, how about your kids? Your boys played?
My boys did, yeah.
They played Little Giants?
No, they didn't. They played baseball a couple times, but
You know, the people often, discuss how is it that a small city like Amsterdam always produces great football teams, and the answer is Whitey Murray.
Little Giants.
Exactly, because up until that time, we didn't have very good football teams.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you've got kids who have been playing football for years before they put on a varsity or a JV uniform.
That's right.
And it makes all the difference in the world because by now they've already learned the fundamentals of the game, and you don't have to teach them all over again.
And you got ninth graders that are good enough to play on varsity.
I think Josh Beekman played as an eighth grader, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Ran into David Stahl over the weekend. You know Dave?
Yes, I do.
Dave was...
Did you run into him at church?
You've been reading my blog, my Facebook. Yes. Dave and I went to different schools together. He was class of '69 at Amsterdam High.
Right.
Good athlete. Played multi-sport guy. I got to tell you, I don't remember him from our youth because he was kind of a quiet guy. I guess he hung around with my gang a bit, but I don't remember him. I know him from Facebook, so we recognized each other immediately because we both look like our current pictures, more or less. Nice guy, really nice guy, and nice to talk about Amsterdam. He lives down in the greater metropolitan New York area now, and he came up to Upper Red Hook to see our old friend Tim Blanchfield preaching on Sunday. So,
What was his topic?
His topic was salvation. Believe it or not, he was for it.
He was for it.
Yeah.
Beats being the Guinnett.
Yeah, that was Calvin Coolidge story. He came back from church one day, and his wife said, "Did you make it to church?" Yeah. He said, what did the preacher talk about? Sin. What did he say? It was again it. Supposedly true story.
Well, I heard this true about a lot of pastors. They are again it.
They're all again
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I don't know about Reverend Fred Phelps, so may he rest. I'm not going to say in peace, but I guess I will after a while. But.
Is he, and his preaching style, fire and brimstone style?
Tim?
Yeah.
No. Actually, I told him afterwards, I said, I know you weren't paying attention at all in parochial school, but there's a lot of what you said that you absorbed, and you may not have realized it. And he's got two big poster boards with one with one Bible quote and one with another Bible quote, and he's saying, this leads you to this, and that can lead you to that. You got to have both. Da, da, da. I said, Tim, you're speaking about the great sins against the Holy Spirit, the sins of presumption and despair. Presumption means I've been saved. I can do whatever I want. I can sin all I want. I know I'm forgiven, and right? Yeah. That's presumption.
Yeah.
You don't presume against the Lord. And the other one is despair. Oh, there's nothing I can do that will make me worthy of salvation. I'm going to heaven. So now you're despairing, and you're in effect saying you're rejecting the mercy of God. So anyway, maybe that's a little too deep for the show with no name, but that's what he talked about for 46 minutes. That's what they do in the.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was good. It's on. I put it up on YouTube. You can find it if you're my friend on Facebook.
It's longer than a class period, 46
minutes. Now, the really funny part for me is he starts off by saying, I may say some things over and over and over again. It's not because I'm getting senile. It says it's because repetition is the mother of study. And I tell you, I almost fell off my chair because Tim literally had a single-digit average in Sister Anna Roberta's Latin class. But the one thing he learned there was that repetition is the mother of study, because she made us freshman Latin. She says the only way you're going to learn this is we would start off the first 10 minutes of every class.
Yeah.
Just repeating what we're supposed to know over and over and over. The first declension endings are I, arm, east, as, east. And this is 50 years later, and I still remember it, right? Not quite 50, but close, getting close. Over 45. And so he says that, and then he chuckles and he says, I learned that from Sister Anna, right, Bob? Yeah.
But he did pass the course, though.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't?
No.
But there weren't many that didn't pass.
There were a lot in my class.
Yeah?
There was the guys, well, of course you recall Sister Anna lined you up in the classroom according to your class average.
Yeah, I realize that.
And Tom,
I saw all those averages ahead of me.
Right, because Tom Alberton was first seat, first row.
Yeah.
From first day of freshman year till we graduated as seniors.
And that was what made that class wrong. Because the kids in the first row got the same stuff every time. When we got to the new stuff, she was towards the end of the class, the students, and we were supposed to figure out the new stuff, which we never could.
Yeah.
But by the time we learned it, she was back on the first row.
I don't care. I was in first row. Anyway, the guys in the last row, and these were big classes. Now, there were like 40 in a class, okay? The guys in the last row, and there were about 8 of them, I think, they all had single-digit averages. Single digits. I'm not, and we would have quizzes like at least once a week, and then bigger tests and stuff like that, and you average the quizzes. And we're starting a new quarter, but they organize themselves into the Paisan Club. Now, one of the guys, this is Latin, right? I understand it can be difficult for people of Germanic or Anglo-Saxon origins and things, but one of the guys in the last row was born and raised in Italy and didn't come here until he was like 10, okay? All right? So his native tongue is Italian. He speaks Italian at home, and he can't figure out Latin for the life of him. Yeah.
Who was that?
I'm not mentioning his name. He listens to the show.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not going to embarrass him here.
Give him a shout-out.
Hey, you know who you are. But in any event, so we start like the second or third quarter. So we start out fresh, all right? And one of them on the first quiz gets an 8 out of 100. All right? And the way we do this is you pass your paper. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gavin.
No,
But this has been a long time. But you do the quiz and you pass it to the person next to you to correct it. And then when they're done correcting, they mark it what your grade was, and then they pass it back to you. And then sister goes through the room, and now we rearrange all the seats.
Oh yeah, and then of course you have to identify what your grade was in front of everybody else.
Right.
Everybody knew. There was no secrets.
Right. So this other guy who doesn't listen to the show, because I think he moved away. Anyway, he gets an 8 on his first quiz. On his second quiz, he gets a 12 out of 100.
Oh, something's going on.
And his math is good enough that he realizes that 8 and 12 averages out to 10, and he no longer would have a single-digit average. He's going to get kicked out of the Paisan Club. So when it comes his turn to read his score out loud, he says 8. he knocked his own grade down. So,
He wants to be part of one of the boys.
So the boys wouldn't razz him. No.
I was I never had a single digit average, but I was in the last row, and it was tough to
In
get
the
out.
last row?
It was tough to
Gavin.
get out. It was, Smealy, Horrigan, Gilston. Of course, Cinchi and Riley were feeding Sippy, which is the the collection up there. So that always helped. They always had the
It's
money.
one of those mechanical coin collectors, and if you get. I guess you'd say, well, brownie points. You get
You could bribe. You could bribe your way into a grade. Yeah.
Brownie points if you fed the coin machine, which all went to Latin Club
Which,
treasury,
yeah.
which was used to purchase materials for the. I mean, the nuns,
They had none.
They vow poverty, so. So Latin Club supported.
Sustained Roberta quite well. She always had the latest gadgetry.
She always had the latest gadgetry. Yeah, bless her.
But yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Me and.
No, I can't. I don't believe you were in the last row. I do not believe that. Freshman year?
Oh yeah.
Is that the only year you took it?
No, I took it all 4 years.
All right then. Okay. Then you didn't have a class like mine with the last row. And
I took French and Latin my freshman
trust me,
year.
we had a Horrigan and a Smealy, and we didn't have a Gilston, but we had
Yeah, we
had our share of
intellectuals.
intellectuals.
Yeah. But we took.
I hope Tim is listening to the show. Tim Horrigan.
We took French our
You're an
freshman
intellectual.
year. We had 2 languages our freshman year, and it just.
Oh, yeah, that
French
was tough.
That was.
Now, you're an educator. You devoted your entire life to it. One of the dumbest things that they did, and I understand your options are limited when you got a small school and there's only so many classes available and things like that. But the smart kids got to take the general science Regents exam in 8th grade.
Yes, we did.
All right? So if you're good in science and you pass this Regents or get a decent grade, then instead of taking an advanced science in your freshman year of high school,
You don't
take any science at all.
They give you a language that you don't understand. They're speaking a foreign language.
So instead, they give us a second language. So we had to take both Latin and French, and that could be complicated.
No, it wasn't.
Les jours de la semaine sont.
Où est la bibliothèque?
Où est la bibliothèque? C'est tout droit. Tu y vas tout de suite?
Oui, il faut que je cherche un livre. That's it. Dialogue 1, that was it.
That was dialogue 2. Où sont les romans?
I was in the last row in French, too.
Oh, okay. All right. Where are the
I was in the last seat in
Là-bas.
French. That was terrible.
Yes. Focus.
So it didn't help us any with our sequence in the sciences because you skipped a year as a freshman.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of putting you straight into biology as a freshman, and the kids who didn't pass the general science exam took physical science in 9th grade.
Yeah, or science.
And so they were taking a science. So if you're good in science, yeah, good for you. You're not taking a course. That made no sense whatsoever.
Well,
Nor did French.
no, it's French. You're right.
Yes. Bonjour Jean. Bonjour Paul. Qui est? C'est un ami. Il s'appelle Paul Montagne. That's Unit 1 dialogue.
That's okay.
Yeah. How did we? I don't remember anything past that. I mean, I know little bits of maybe 3 and 4, but
We spent the whole first quarter on that. That's
we must have spent the whole first semester on units 1 and 2, on dialogue 1 and 2.
We were pretty slow in there.
Yeah.
So.
Où sont les romans? Oh, yeah, I read. I actually ran into a French woman recently at a party.
A French woman?
A French woman,
Oh.
A woman from France, and her English was quite good, but you know.
Dialogue 2, Dialogue 3 level?
Well, no, even listen, I decided to really impress her. I said, que faites-vous en dimanche? What do you do on Sunday? Moi, je m'ennuie. Me, I'm bored. Un matin, papa nous amène mon frère, ma soeur et moi au musée du Louvre.
Everybody goes to the museum and looks around.
Right. Every Sunday. In the morning, my father takes us, my brother, my sister, and me to the Louvre Museum. Yeah, can you imagine such a terrible thing?
How come in France you go to the Louvre, you go to a museum? In England, you go to the Louvre, you're in the bathroom.
I don't get it. I don't get it either. I don't know. That's why they've had that 100 years war, I guess.
Probably.
Yeah. Kevin McKern was stuck up was on a ski trip up in Quebec some years ago, and his car breaks down, and it's about a mile walk to the nearest village, and he doesn't know what to do next, but he figures
he knows some French.
Yeah, maybe he'll get a book on how to fix his car. So the only French he knows is "Où est la bibliothèque?" Where is the library? It's là-bas. Oh dear. I think that's a true story. It's the way I heard it anyway.
If not, it's good.
It's a good story.
It is.
It's a good story. A lot of good stories out there.
Right. An embellishment here, an embellishment there.
It's funny. On the podcast Friday, we were talking about the Athlete Hall of Fame for the high school.
Yeah.
And about the different ones from different era. And we were talking about Buddy Flesh and Tom Safran.
Yeah.
And what do you think the conversation on Sunday was after church service with Dave Stahl? Because Dave was in that group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a year older than them. His Buddy and Tom, Tom were my age.
Yeah, but they played together.
Yeah.
They played together. But, Tom and Buddy were playing on the basketball team as sophomores,
right.
starting varsity, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. He had Tony Tarani on that team. The picture that Dave posted on Facebook was he was in. It was a nice mix of you had the super sophomores, but you had Tony Tarani, who was a senior at that time. Eric Johnson, who was a good ball player. Mel Bradwell was my age.
Peter Diamond.
Peter Diamond, also
Rick Bean,
and Rick Bean. You got almost all of them. Chucky Wirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good.
Yeah, that's a good squad.
It was a very competitive league that they played in, because you had Philip Schuyler, you had Linton, you had Mount Pleasant, you had Albany, you had Troy. I mean, they were real basketball powerhouses. Every year they were cranking out guys who went to D1 basketball.
Right.
Sid Edwards, Milton Skeeterhorn, Luther Rackley, Willie Rackley.
Wow, Luther Rackley.
Yeah,
what was it?
He went to Xavier, Ohio. Luther did.
I'm trying to think of the guy who played for maybe a little bit after that.
Bowie trained him.
That doesn't sound right. He could.
Tiki Burden.
He played
for Utah.
He could fly.
Yeah.
He could fly. He would take off from the top of the key and fly right to the basket.
Yeah. He played pro ball for a while.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. They had some great ball players came through down there. I mean, you got Edward to Horns. You had Pat Riley. He played He played at Linton.
Yep.
A little before our time.
The picture he posted, it was great. It was Timmy Koloje was a senior at Duke, and so it's a picture of Timmy Koloje sitting down in his Duke uniform with all the Amsterdam High varsity surrounding him, and he's giving them tips on how to play basketball.
His senior year, he came back and he brought some of the players from Duke with him, and they played against the Amsterdam All-Stars.
I saw that game.
And Mike Lewis was their big guy, and he played pro ball. But the Amsterdam team made up predominantly of Amsterdam high school students, but a couple of ringers from Scully went and won on a last-second shot by Mark Stanley.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yes, so he took a shot from the left-hand baseline that won the game for him. It was a high-scoring game. Just up and down, down. Just like when they had the Mohawk Valley semi-pro basketball
the Mohawk
team.
Knights.
The Mohawk Valley Knights. Yeah. And they had Schaff and Blaha and they Blow and all those guys from Geiger from down by in the Capital District were in that league.
Sam Crawford and Sonny Hill.
Yeah, and they had either Wingo Hawthorne or Hawthorne Wingo, depending on what night it was, which name he went by, who eventually played with the Knicks.
Yeah.
He played up here. And they played against the Harlem Magicians.
I saw that. I was at that game.
Yeah, we were. You were a sophomore.
Marcus Haynes.
Yeah,
Marcus Haynes, and who used to be with the Globetrotters.
Right, but the Mohawk Knights were not of the opinion they were going to let them
They were
win.
not playing the Washington Generals.
That's right, and it was brutal.
One of the great moments of the game, the Marcus Haynes was the greatest dribbler of all time. No kidding. I mean, the ball just.
Yeah, he was Meadowlark Lemon before Meadowlark Lemon came around.
Meadowlark Lemon followed his style,
right, but
Marcus Haynes was the original Globetrotter dribbler. He once was in a game where they were ahead by 1 point with like 9 minutes to go into the game, but they only had 3 guys left because everybody else fouled out. And so the only way they're going to win the game,
because there's no shot clock,
because there's no shot clock back then, is for him to dribble the ball and make sure the other team doesn't get it. And plus, he can't be in a position where they're going to foul him, because if they foul him, they're going to get the ball back, and then and anything he's going to have to make every foul shot, and he'll get one shot. So. 9.5 minutes he dribbled the ball to the and ran around, keeping away from anybody who might possibly come in and foul him.
Wow,
just incredible. But in that game, in the Harlem Magicians game, Alan Johnson stole the ball from Marcus Haynes when he was doing one of his dribbling acts, and he looked so embarrassed.
And I think that's what set the game off for the rest of the game. Once that happened, the Magicians realized these guys aren't playing for fun, and it became a real basketball game. It was, and Scully was a smaller court. It wasn't as big as the high school, so I mean, there's a lot of banging of bodies up there when you get some adult-sized guys out there, and it was rugged.
And it was packed. It was even more rugged when I think the next year. Marcus Haynes came back, not playing here, but they played. It was either the Wedekind Pros or the Schaefer Brewers, whichever, the Albany semi-pro team with Barry Kramer, and Schaff was playing for them at the time because the Knights had folded, and they decided they were going to play to win. I mean, they really they went from the get-go, and Schaff ended up throwing his back out in that game. I think he was out for the rest of the season, but they were playing that hard, and Schaff was guarding Marcus. It was just amazing. Those were days. No. Boy, you could see a lot of great basketball. I mean, half that Mohawk Knights team ended up playing pro ball somewhere, either ABA or what was that guy's name? Laverne something. He never played. I don't think he ever played in Amsterdam, but he was on the roster, and he was like the following year he was a lead scorer in the ABA, and he played for the Mohawk Valley Knights.
Yeah. When Tiki Bird played, when he played for Utah, that was when they were the ABA.
Yeah,
he was a wisp of a guy. He wasn't big. He was skinny, but boy, he could shoot the lights out of the
and fly.
Yeah.
He could fly.
Yeah.
think I represented a nephew of his when I was working in Albany at one time. My uncle Ticky Burden. That's great. What's that do for you?
It shows the quality athletes that were here and that were showcased. That we really don't have that showcase for them anymore. You have the making textiles. Not the Mohawks are great, but they're not local guys.
Right.
You know.
Guys like Schaff. Phil Schaff was the best ball player I ever saw around here. But where do they go after that? If they can't make the pros, there's nothing in between.
No,
really,
there wasn't that.
Which was great having those semi-pro teams. Is this ours? I don't know. We don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this is WCSS 1490 in Amsterdam, New York. You're listening to the show with no name, and we talk about just about anything. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Got to hit the switch.
Oh, wait.
About basketball teams in the city, we used to go down to see the Amsterdam Textiles team play. You remember them?
Yeah, go ahead, Gavin.
Johnny Barstow, Ben Maley, Lou Burdett, Leo Yurkon, Gabriel, Argus. They used to play the teams from New York. They played down at junior high.
Lou Burdett, huh?
I don't remember. That must have been the early, late 40s, early 50s.
In the 40s, late 40s. Yeah, they used to play New York Renaissance, and John Barstow was a great basketball player.
Oh, I guess he was. Yeah.
And Ben Maley, he was about 6'9", 6'10". He was good too.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah.
That was before our
before
time,
my time,
or before our reading. Anyhow, I don't remember reading about them either. But the thing with the textiles and rug makers, they were here for such a length of time. I mean, they went into the 60s, so people our age, still saw them at the good time.
The semi-pro teams, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Gloversville was a pretty good sports town, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had a good basketball team. I didn't watch them that much, but I remember going to the Armory, and they used to have the teams from Amsterdam used to come up and play. They had a pretty good team.
Did you do much extracurricular work?
Not too much. I was out working.
I know. That's tough. Yeah. I guess I used to work too. What the heck?
That was before you became a lawyer?
Yeah. Stahl was telling me that, let's see, his grandmother's, I think it was his grandmother. His grandmother's sister was married to Don Wemple, who was in both my World War II books. Wemple played, was killed in the war, going over the hump between India and China. And he played football for the Brooklyn Dodgers of the National Football League back in the late 30s and early 40s. And he was big. He was from Gloversville, which is why I bring it up. So it would have, you would have been a little kid maybe, but when he played for Gloversville, but yeah, I think you were alive, I think, and a heck of a ball player. I guess played for Colgate. They called him the smashing end or something like that. So he was a big deal, and he had plane trouble coming back from China, and the plane crashes, but he survives the crash for a couple of days, and he's conscious, and the chaplain was a Catholic priest, and first thing Wemple says, "I'm not Catholic. You can pray for me. It's okay." There's no any Protestant prayers, Padre? But they had never met, but the priest knew exactly who he was. That's how big a deal he was. Big a deal he was. Yeah, yeah. So He was Stahl's great uncle by marriage.
Obviously, the plane didn't go down in the South Indian Sea or anything. So
Wow, who knows what's going on there? They announced, okay, we know where the plane went down. It's at the bottom of 22,000 feet of ocean. Really? Show me. I mean, considering how many theories that they've had in the last week or last 2 weeks as to where that plane is.
Well, you got a local boy that was that's involved in that search.
who's that, Jim?
That's Billy Marks. I think that's his first name.
Bill
isn't it,
Marks.
Billy?
Yeah.
Bill.
Marks.
Bill.
Yeah, he went to Russia with us one of our trips.
He
Did he really?
Yeah, on our first trip, I think he went with us. Yeah.
he graduated from Amsterdam High, went to Naval Academy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's commander of that ship that's out there looking for the wreckage.
Yeah. Another good success story.
Yes.
Yeah, I just sort of heard from him yesterday or the day before. They how you get invited to join groups on Facebook or to follow. So he wanted me to join the 7th Fleet Facebook. So I did. I happen to be reading about it, the 7th Fleet, because I'm finishing up that World War II book on the naval history of well, that's not the navy. It's a history of the Pacific War in one volume. And I've been reading it for weeks, and I've just got I just got a summation chapter to go, and I'm done with it. But the bomb's already been dropped, the surrender's taken place.
You know how it ends.
I know how it ends pretty much because it ends pretty much the same as my book ended. Yeah. Fortunately, if I hadn't written my book, I might not have known how that
You'd be in
ended.
suspense at this time.
Be in suspense.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's my book sort of ends. The war ends with. In his book, it ends with MacArthur accepting the Japanese surrender, and mine ends with Arnie Eckelman surrendering to his wife in front of Father Beck in St. Michael's on the same day.
I wonder how that turned out.
It turned out great. It turned out great. Yep. Yeah. And Japan did all right by that surrender too. No. The guy is, I think, a little tough on MacArthur, as many historians are. Boy, you either liked the guy or you hated him.
Yeah, he's an either-or guy.
And he had a lot of people who loved him, and a lot of reporters and historians who loved him, but there was no in between.
He was a no-nonsense
He wasn't an easy guy to manage in the Army.
Well, no, because he probably knew more than all of them. But I haven't read his memoirs in years, probably since they came out, actually. But I'd be interested to go back now that I know a lot about the Pacific War, because he was pretty blunt in, as I recall, saying what he thought should be done. Of course, the Army and the Marines had a completely different philosophy, and of course a different mission for the most part. The Marines were quick, attack, go through, get out, and move on to the next. Whereas the Army is always looking to tomorrow. The Marines weren't. It's just now is all that matters, and so the Army approach is to preserve your men as much as possible, and the Marines is get the job done and move on. So, a lot of the major casualties of the war in the Pacific were the Marines. Of course, they fought most of the major battles too, but MacArthur was a strong advocate of, I forget who the baseball player was, but he famously said, how do you account for your terrific batting average? He says, because I hit them where they ain't, and that was MacArthur's philosophy of moving up through New Guinea is not to attack the Japanese strongholds.
We Willie Keeler.
Very good. Very good. but to bypass them and to essentially freeze them out and make them pointless. To go to the least defended place, build an air base, and then now we got cover them by air cover, and you 10,000 troops can stay there as long as you like. We don't care. You're not doing anything to us.
Yeah.
So many amazing the production that this country turned out. In 1942, we were hanging on by a thread in the Pacific because we weren't,
production wasn't keeping.
We had a limited Navy to start the war. We lost a bunch of it at Pearl Harbor, and we're fighting these battles that are barely getting us. We're barely getting through. Thank God for Midway and things like that. But there were any number of times when it could have turned on a dime and gone the other way, and but by 1943, they're plowing out. All of a sudden, we've got all these new carriers and the planes and the planes and the more planes, and we had completely wiped out the Japanese Navy and Air Force by the end of the war, even before Hiroshima. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Mighty ho there, troops.
Hey, what's up?
Just a passing thought. If Hugh Donlan's tale was right,
and it always is,
I would assume it is, yes. Shuttleworth Park was first opened in the spring of 1914.
Yes, absolutely.
That tell you anything?
No.
You're going to have a special program for the 100th birthday.
Oh, it was Memorial Day. That's right.
Light dawns. It's about time.
Oh, the light dawns. 100 years this year. Yep. Yeah. Crescent Park opened. And
it has and again, from what I recall of Hugh's piece, it has never been closed for one day, not even during the war.
That's true. Now, as we're speaking of.
Of course, there was never any parking, but you could get in.
Speaking of Naval Academy families, of course, his son went to Annapolis, and I think his grandson too, didn't he? Didn't he have a grandson who went to Annapolis as well? I forget. Anyway, so I know this story, Dave, because I was visiting with Donlan one day in his house on Kimball Street,
right?
Many years ago, obviously, and I said,
Hugh.
I said, Hugh? No, I said, Mr. Donlan, sir. No, actually, it was something like this. Hey, Mr. Donlan.
He's one of few you ever called sir.
You better believe it. Hey, Mr. Donlan, I said, do you happen to remember when Mohawk Mills Park opened? Honest to God, I asked him that question. I don't remember why I wanted to know, but I was curious about it. He says, oh, yes. He says, it was Memorial Day, 1914. And he says, I particularly, and I was there that day, he says, I particularly remember it because there was a young lady taking tickets, selling ride tickets, that struck my fancy. I thought she was cute as a button, and I'd never met her before, and I went over and introduced myself to her. And she became the first Mrs. Donlan. Yeah, that was the day he met his wife.
Memorial Day. I'll swear I heard it was in April, but I'll take your word.
Or
actually, I'll take Hugh's word.
It's in his book. I'm almost positive that it was Memorial Day. I was pretty sure it was a holiday. It was either Memorial Day or Memorial Day weekend, something like that. Almost. And it was
a baseball game, right?
They had a baseball game, among other things. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, that's what she was selling tickets to.
But they also had the rides there. I think she was selling ride tickets.
That's right, they did.
Yeah. They had the giant swings and the merry-go-round, and so
how long we got to wait till June 5?
We got probably till June 5.
April, May is 16.
Oh, that's clever. Can I write that down for future reference?
Yeah, go ahead.
Good grief. Anyway,
you have to give about credit.
You know you're going to steal it anyway. You can criticize.
We open against Newark.
Yep.
That's a Thursday. And then Saturday is our first home game against the Dutchman.
That would be the Albany team?
Very good. I'll get you trained yet. You wait and see.
Yeah.
And it's the Saturday after my daughter gets married.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
I
you,
don't
wait
even know
a
if I'll
minute.
be coherent.
So
by
what
then.
are you saying? She arranged her wedding so it wouldn't conflict with the Mohawk season? Is that what you're
Well,
telling me?
what they did, they made sure it wasn't on
You
Memorial
don't understand. I
weekend.
got season tickets. I can't be there.
Yeah, they're getting married up in Thatcher Park. I haven't been up there since I was about that high.
A lovely place. Thatcher
yeah.
Park is a
Oh,
lovely
that's
place. We
gorgeous.
go up there every couple of years just to hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't get too near the edge.
I've been near the edge. In fact, I've taken the walk down into the cave a couple of times.
And that's for my daughter's wedding. That's rain or shine.
There you go.
And are you familiar with the Spotlight? It's a weekly paper out of Delmar.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Okay, there's a guy who's an editor and their sports writer, Rob Jonas. He's gonna be my son-in-law.
Wow. Wait a minute. You're letting your daughter marry a reporter? Wow.
Yeah, but he's not going anywhere. The Spotlight.
That's what
is
Charlie
not gonna
Crable
send
thought
him
too,
off
and now
to-
he's stuck in Saratoga.
There you go.
Yeah, they're not going to send him off to, Anaheim Stadium for a ball game or anything. He does mostly local teams.
Wow.
Whoever that.
So you
that plays at the Joe and the Dutchman and.
you filled him with your knowledge, I assume.
Oh, we've had a few talks already. Oh yes, and his father taught literature. I'll have you know.
Where was that?
At a boys' private school in Manhattan for over 40 years.
Wow, that sounds like Mr. Chips.
So Bill and I talk books, and Rob and I talk sports sometimes. He's also a reader and a movie nut. So
I'm a movie nut.
Bill is still primarily books. The father, he's now I think 80. He'll be 87 in early May.
Has he read the local publication of Where Do We Find Such Men?
Yeah, has he read Where Do We Find Such Men? That's a great work of literature.
If he hasn't,
Try that again?
you gotta give it to him. Buy it for him.
You're very low. I can hear you, but you're low.
Yeah, he is low. You have no idea.
I'm not going to even.
Yeah.
try
So my book is available at the library now, Dave. If you want to go down there and pick
So I
up
don't
a
have to
copy.
pay for it.
Nope, it's free. It's 14 days though. You got to finish it in 14 days and get it back.
Okay.
There's
I gotcha.
two copies at the library.
It's going to take me that long to finish what I'm reading.
What are you reading now?
Well, I just finished Trinity.
Leon Uris's?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good book.
Yeah, the paperback is 815
Yeah,
pages.
that's
I
a real
finally
good
finished
book.
that Saturday.
Yeah.
And I started the sequel there, too. That's only 708 pages.
There's something in there that I forget the exact quote, but it always reminds me of Amsterdam. It says, Ireland has no present and no future, just the past happening over and over again.
Yeah. Yep. He uses that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Yep. And I didn't know.
The rising of the moon.
Did you know there were Uris Mountains in Ireland with 2 R's, but U-R-R-I-S? I had no idea that was an Irish name.
Wow.
And he mentions it 2 or 3 times in Trinity. He hasn't mentioned. I'm 120 pages into the sequel called Redemption.
Oh, I didn't know there was a sequel. I've never read that.
Yeah.
Let me have it when you're done.
What's it worth to you? Never mind. Never mind. If I can pick on you at the ball games, we'll be okay.
Okay.
All righty. Maybe you guys can tell me. You guys like the NFL. I gave up on it, but I guess they've had the Super Bowl by now. But anyway, I figured it out, and I was wondering if any of you guys had. Why we will never, ever, ever have a fully organized, fully staffed, etc., women's NFL. Any ideas?
This is a trick question.
Can't have.
No, I have no idea, Dave, and I can't think of an answer that won't get me in trouble. So go ahead.
Well, anyway, you want to be the one to hand out the memo that says that the team is going to have the same uniform, the same place at the same time. They all got to wear the same thing.
That's it.
11 times.
Milton Berle would be ashamed of that joke.
Yeah, well, that's not too hard. He's dead.
That's one he wouldn't steal.
That's the one he wouldn't steal.
That's right.
That's one he would not go near. Okay. All right, be that way. You stay warm, guys, or dry,
Okay,
or whatever.
David.
When are we going to get some springtime around here since it already landed last
This
Thursday?
is spring. This is spring. Yeah.
Oh, this is it?
Yeah.
No,
We got
Yeah.
a problem.
we're going to go right into summer.
Yeah.
All righty.
Okay.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
But unfortunately, you're going to have to wait till summer gets here before that happens. So another couple of months.
Wow. We haven't, I don't know, sir. Oh, geez, we only got a couple of minutes left. I'm supposed to tell the story about how the mayor having a car, well, the big thing on Facebook, there's this 500 reply conversation on Facebook about the mayor having a car. It's gotten off the track a few times, but frankly, whether the mayor has a car or doesn't have a car, if you like her, you want her to have a car. If you don't like her, you don't want her to have a car. I'm not going to get into that. But I did raise the question is, how did a mayor having a car lead to the current city charter?
To this. No.
Yeah, no, you're not going to. You got to remember it to understand it.
You got to be there.
No, you got to
Under our old form of government, we had a public safety commissioner and public works commissioner. The
Yeah.
public safety commissioner was Bernie Casellas.
Yeah.
And as part of his employment package, he had this big black car. I forget what it was. So he could, go to all the fires and go to all the raids and stuff like that. Well, Bernie resigns late in John Gomulka's third term. And Gomulka says, I'm not going to appoint a new public safety commissioner. I'll just do the job myself. This is when we first began to realize we didn't need a public safety commissioner. All of a sudden, people see John Gomulka driving this big black car around town. Okay? And he's painted over the seal of the city with like black spray paint. And so now they start asking him at the common council meeting, excuse me, Mayor, we didn't give you a car. How is it you're driving the city car? He says, I'm the public safety commissioner. So this caused them to put in a new charter commission. The charter commission eliminates the job of public safety commissioner so that the mayor won't get a car, among other things. But this is what the thinking was.
Yeah.
And so Gomulka doesn't run for re-election, and the first. The next mayor is Villa, and Villa continues to drive the car, and it's been. But now the same charter created this water board, independent water board. The first thing they do is they hire my cousin Ed Hardees to be the director of the water system, and they buy him a new car. So he's got a brand new car, and the mayor is driving this old beat-up car. Well, next thing you know, there's another charter commission to eliminate the water board, which that's the one I'm on. We put it up for a vote. The public eliminates the water board, and so now Hardees is out of that job, and the car now belongs to the city. And the first thing you know, Villa's driving the new car. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how the mayor of the city of Amsterdam came to have a car, and how we got a new charter in 1979.
Do you know how she got her car?
Well, I know how she got the current car, yeah.
You do?
Yeah. It was a drug raid car, right?
No, it was a drug. No, it wasn't a drug raid car. It was bought with money.
Money from the drug raid,
which is totally illegal.
Well, that's true, but You weren't on the
Yeah.
council then.
Yes,
so
it
you can-
is.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
What can you do with the money?
Well, they
can't use-
they ostensibly it was done without the Common Council's approval,
Right.
among other things.
Right.
But it was so the mayor can get to the
Supposedly.
raids to get to the raids because the mayor is like the public safety commissioner.
Her car won't go to the raids?
No, I guess not.
All right.
And the old one couldn't either. Anyway, this is the end of the show. We're going to do a podcast on Friday, and we'll be back on Tuesday. And you've been listening to the what is the name of the show?
The show with no name.
Yeah, how come? There we go. There we go.
It's those three guys.
And I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha and Gavin Murdoch. We'll be back next week with more of the show with no name.